What's going on, guys? Welcome to my laptop. Today we are going to be talking about planning our diet and more specifically calculating how much energy we need during the day off of how much energy we use during the day. So before we can start calculating on paper, we first need to understand energy balance. So as we can see this little scale here, energy balance is basically the amount of calories as a unit of energy. So calories being intaken, so calories being eaten or food consumed, versus the amount of energy we use or the calories we burn in a day. So if our energy is balanced, so if we intake an equal amount of how much we expend, then we're going to maintain weight. Okay, but if we intake more than we expend, we are going to increase weight. So we're going to gain weight over time. And if we intake less than we expend, so we are consuming less calories than what we need, we are going to lose weight because our body has to find them in our tissues. So it will break down our body to find that energy. So with that being said, so now that we understand energy balance, we're going to be able to calculate our energy requirements for the day, so our total daily energy expenditure. But before we jump into this, we need to understand metabolism as well. So metabolism is as simple as being the sum of all the reactions in the body. So what that means is all the chemical reactions in your body, all the reactions that require energy to occur, all calculated together in total. That is your metabolism. Now this here, the BMR, that is our base metabolic rate. And what that is the energy use that your body needs to function. So in calories, your BMR is the amount of energy you need to survive as a human. If you do not get that, you'll start to break down your tissue to find that, and that's where you see people with like malnutrition and things like that. It's because they are not getting enough energy in, so their body literally has to eat itself to find energy. And severe cases, that is fatal. So we need to always meet our BMR energy requirements. So we always need to be taking in at least that much energy or that many calories. So we need to do this on paper with this calculation here, because most people cannot access what is called direct or indirect calorimetry. And basically that is the most accurate way to find how many calories you're burning in a day. But it's generally pretty expensive and not everyone has access to it. So we are going to learn how to do it on paper and still get accurate results. So this equation here is known as the Mifflin Sanders equation. It is based off of this Harris-Benedict principle, and it's revised, so it's now more accurate, and it is the most commonly used equation for BMR and energy expenditure calculation. So there was another one called the Schofield principle, but that has been since wiped because it was proven to be inaccurate. So yeah, we use the Mifflin Sanders equation now, which is a current and revised version of the Harris-Benedict principle. So this is the Mifflin Sanders equation. So basically to do this, it's pretty simple, and this will give us our base metabolic rate. You can do it on a calculator pretty much in 5 seconds. So for men, it is just 10 or 9.99 times our weight in kilograms, plus 6.25 times our height in centimeters, subtracting 4.92 times our age in years. And then the only difference is that for men, we plus this by 5, and for women, we subtract 161. So that is the Mifflin Sanders equation. It's pretty simple, and I'll do an example later on in the video. So bear with me for that. But that is how we calculate our base metabolic rate, that amount of energy we need to survive. So quickly, just here is the components of energy expenditure in a pie chart. So this is how our energy is broken up during the day, how our body uses it. So you can see here a massive chunk, up to 65% of our energy, is just for that BMR. So that is just our body using energy to function and survive. You can see here around 30% is our physical activity. So that's the energy we're expending through physical activity in our daily activities. And then up here we have the thermic effect of food. Now that might seem like a foreign concept, but thermic effect of food is put simply is just the energy lost as heat while your food is digesting. So once it's broken down, some energy gets lost as heat, and that is what the thermic effect of food is. That is just the heat loss while you're digesting your food. So here we have the example I was talking about earlier. This is my example specifically, and it is also the example I'll be using in real life for my diet plan. So this is, I believe in this, and I'll be using this for my training. So this is how we do it. We take our BMR calculation, our Mifflin Sanders equation, and we substitute in our values. So my weight, so I go 10 times my weight, which is 74 kilos, plus 6.25 times my height, which is 173 centimeters, minus 4.92 times my age in years, which is 20. And then we plus that by 5. So that altogether will give us these blue values here. And they're just our brackets added up. And then we add all that together, do that equation, and that will give us our BMR, which is this first number in green here. So that is my base metabolic rate as of today. So 1,727.11 kilocalories per day. So that is the amount of calories I need to survive per day for my body to function. So that's my base metabolic rate there. And then to get our total daily energy expenditure, we need to add in two more things. So like we saw up here, our components of energy expenditure. So we've calculated my BMR. We've calculated the BMR. Now we need to calculate our physical activity and our thermic effect of food. So we come back down. Now to calculate the physical activity, we need to use what is called a PAL, or a physical activity level. And this is a very basic table of how to find your physical activity level. You can find much more detailed ones online, and I suggest you do that. But for the most part, this is how they work. So there is a multiplier here in this column of your BMR. So you will times your BMR by one of these numbers based on how much activity you do in a day. So if you're laying in bed, you'll only base it all day, you'll only times it by 1.2. Whereas if you're a professional athlete, you're exercising multiple hours a day in high intensity, you'll multiply it by 2.0 to 2.4 and maybe even higher depending on how hard you train. But that up here, 99% of the population would not even go close to that. So for my specific example, I considered myself in the moderate activity level at 1.8 because I work a physically demanding job on daily, and I also exercise daily. So that I put myself in there. I could possibly put myself higher, but considering I'm basing a diet plan off this, I can readjust if necessary if I'm losing or gaining weight in the next few weeks. So I wasn't too worried, but I chose to use myself as a 1.8. And you can find yourself on that scale, and then all we do is take that number and insert it here. So as you can see, I've put my 1.8 there. So we take our base metabolic rate and we times that by our physical activity level, and that will give us an estimate of our total daily energy expenditure. So here you can see that my estimate is 2,936.08 kilocalories per day. Now, there is some variance with this equation, and for men it varies about 200 kilocalories, and women it varies about 160 kilocalories. So plus or minus our estimate up here can be, so for men, for me, it could be either between 2,736 or 3,136. So it goes up or down, but I've chosen to just stay right in the middle. So just be mindful of that. It's not 100% accurate to the calorie, but it is more accurate than using some calculators online, especially knowing how to do it yourself. So then once we've got our estimate, we then have to account for the thermic effect of food. So 10% or roughly 10% of our energy intake. It varies depending on what macronutrients you're consuming, but we're not going to get too far into that. For the most part, it is just the 10% of our energy intake. So for this particular one, my thermic effect of food is 293.60 calories. So when we take our estimation and we plus the thermic effect of our food, we get our total daily energy expenditure value. And so you can see for me, it was 3,229.68 kilocalories per day. So just over 3,200 calories a day is how much my body is using according to this equation. So I would then take that value and either add or subtract depending on my training goals. So if I wanted to gain weight or build muscle, I would add calories to that. Depending on how quickly I wanted to do that, it would depend on how many calories I add. And the same thing if I wanted to lose weight or cut body fat, I would minus calories from that. So I could maybe take it down to 3,000 or 2,700, depending on how quickly I wanted to lose weight. So that is how to do that calculation. You can make adjustments and for yourself and your training, but all you have to do, like I said, is just sub in those values, your own values, up here, and you pretty much go from there. It's quite simple. It's not too hard to do. Might take a little bit of effort, but I think it's better to know it because I actually did a comparison of some calculators online. I'll put them up on the screen now, and basically they all gave me different values. I put in the same estimate, the same data for each one, my data, and they came out with different values. So you can see here, one gave me 2,758 calories for my total daily energy expenditure. Another gave me just over 3,000. Another one gave me 2,900. And then from Damn Rip, they gave me 3,200. And then another one gave me 3,909 calories. So, anywhere from near 4,000 calories to way down to 2,700 calories. So that is a huge variance, and I would rather and advise you to do it in your own calculation because each of those websites will use a different variation of this equation, which will give them all different results. So you could be, for example, if I chose to do the 3,909 calorie website, symmetric strength, they would have put me in a huge caloric surplus according to this equation, which is not exactly what I want to achieve. So you could be setting yourself up wrong if you do choose to use those websites. But moving on to the next step, we have to now take this caloric estimate, our total daily energy expenditure, and turn that into a split or our diet, our foundation for our diet. So quickly remembering that when we're calculating macronutrients, so these are our macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, and fats or lipids. When we're calculating these, they each have a calorie per gram amount. So protein, you can see here, is 4 kilocalories per gram. Carbohydrates also have 4 kilocalories per gram, and lipids have 9 kilocalories per gram. So remembering that 4, 4, and 9, that's in calories. It's just so you can break down and calculate how much you are getting of each of those macronutrients in each of your meals or the food you're consuming, because they will be the pillars of your diet, regardless of where you get them from. So the way I'm choosing to do it, you don't have to do it this way, but this is the way I personally wish to do it. To break down those calories per day is in 3 500-calorie meals, prepped meals plus breakfast, snacks, and dinner. So those 3 meals will give me 1,500 calories in the day, but that still leaves me with 1,722 calories for the rest of the day. So I've got to find this number in that breakfast, snacks, and meals and dinner and things like that. But for the main part, those prepped meals will give me the bulk of my calories, and I know what's going in them. I've prepared them. I know exactly what's in them, so there's no risk there. I know what I'm going to be eating. So my macro split, this number here, is the ratio of my protein, carbs, and fats. So as you can see, I have gone with 40% protein, 50% carbohydrates for energy, and 10% fats. That fat value is pretty low. Personally, I like a lower fat value because I know I can easily gain more fats during those snacks and during non-prepped meals. So I choose to keep my prepped meals very low in fat. And moving on from that, this is the way to calculate how many grams we will be needing or having per meal. So each meal is going to be 500 calories. So to work out how much protein in grams I will need to do my shopping and whatever, I need to first take my calories and times that by the percentage of how much of that macronutrient. So 40% protein, so I would take 500 calories and times it by 40, and then divide it by 100. And that would give me how many calories of that meal will be protein. So that, as you can see here, it's 200 kilocalories of the meal is going to be protein. So now to get the gram value, I have to divide that percentage or that amount of calories, so 200 calories, by our value for our macronutrients per gram. So as you can see, protein is 4 kilocalories per gram. So to get my grams per meal, I need to divide 200 kilocalories by 4. So 200 kilocalories divided by 4 will give me 50 grams of protein per meal. Okay, so we'll do it for carbs as well. So I've got my 500 calorie meal times my ratio, so 50%, divided by 100 equals 250 calories of that meal is going to be carbohydrates. I then divide that by my calories per gram for that macronutrient, so 4. So 250 divided by 4 is 62 grams of that meal is going to be carbs. And you do the same thing for fat. So we take it again, 500 times 10 divided by 100 equals 50 calories. So then we divide that by 9, and that will equal 5 grams of fat per meal. Like I said, I like to keep my prepped meal fats very low because I can find those other fats during the day. So now for our shopping list, or how much we're going to need during the week, we need to take these values here and times them by how many meals are in the week. Okay, so for me personally, I'm choosing to use to prep 6 days of my week, and I'm going to be using 3 meals a day. So I simply go 6 times 3 is 18, so there's going to be 18 meals, and then all I do is take each of these values and times it by 18. So you can see I've got 50 times 18 equals 900 grams of protein for the week. Then I've got carbs, 62 times 18, that's 1.116 kilograms of carbohydrates for the week. And then I've got my fats, 5 times 18 equals 90 grams of fats for the week in my prepped meals only. So they are the meals I can calculate and prepare myself. So we can see 900, 1,116 grams and 90 grams of fat per week. Like I said, I like to keep that fat low. I can find it in other places. So once we've done all that, we can find we go to the shops basically, and we shop for whichever carbohydrate, protein, fat sources we need, depending on your budget, time, what you like to eat, things like that. So that's all up to you. That's a personal thing. For me, I find my protein in lean chicken. Not vegan, obviously. Carbohydrates, rice and pasta, and fat generally comes with sauces and any excess things like that. I also add vegetables to those meals, but because I'm not putting them in here because they don't offer a very high macronutrient content. So they're better for our micronutrients, our vitamins and minerals and things like that. So I still need to source those other 1,700 calories outside of these meals. I can find those in protein shakes, breakfast cereal, snacks, dinners if they're not prepared. They're all opportunities to find those calories, but remembering you need to track them. So don't just go, yep, I've got like 4 Mars bars sitting at home, I need an extra 500 calories, I'll just smash those Mars bars, because it becomes very easy to either put yourself in a huge caloric surplus due to a lot of sugar and like sweets and things like that, or you can find yourself very short in a caloric deficit of your diet goal, which means when you want to gain weight or maintain weight, you could end up losing weight. So remember just to track your calories, have that in the back of your head how much you still need during the day. It is a concerted effort, but at the same time, if you are wanting to take your training seriously and you want to see results, especially fast, this is something that I think is a huge requirement. You need to do it. And it's always better to understand things for yourself. So after you've done all these calculations, like I said, you just add up all your measurements, find what food you like, and then go shopping, cook it all up, enjoy your meals, train hard, make sure you're eating well. And other than that, I hope I've helped you guys out with this video. I hope now you can calculate your own diet plan on your own and coordinate that with your shopping list, and with a bit of effort and a bit of time and a bit of focus, you should be able to come up with a very handy meal prep for yourself, especially without paying any trainer or any dietitian any money. Of course, if you have any digestive diseases or dietary nuances that need looking to, I always recommend going to a dietitian or a nutritionist. Don't try and plan around that yourself if you don't fully understand what is going on in your body. But assuming that you're a normal person with no digestive diseases or anything like that, I would say go for gold, give it a good shot, and if you really get stuck or really need help, then consult the professionals. But I don't see a problem in giving it a go yourself. All it takes is a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. Other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. I hope I gave you a bit of a helping hand.